What's going on, guys? Talking comics, and today's topic is going to be something I personally have been looking forward to for a little while. The greatest Lantern Corp in all of DC Comics. Now, there's like 8, I want to say. We got pretty much all the colors. We have the Phantom, Ultraviolet. That's about it. But, so I'm gonna kind of speed through the first couple, because a lot of these intertwine with each other, so I'm just gonna speed through the obvious one, the Green Lantern. Now, when I say Green Lanterns, I'm talking about Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns, because I'm going to be looking at the leaders slash most powerful. Usually, the most powerful are the leaders, but not necessarily in Green Lanterns. But I'm looking at the most powerful members of each corps. So Hal Jordan is who I'm looking at, and Parallax Hal Jordan is able to take on the Guardians of the Universe. So that alone, he's single-handedly can wipe out every Green Lantern with no competition. So, but the problem with that is the fact that Parallax is a Yellow Lantern, and since he's a Yellow Lantern, you can't really. That's kind of what I meant by they intertwine, was because the most powerful, in my opinion, of Lanterns is Parallax possessing anyone, honestly. But it's intertwining. Green Lanterns by themselves, I believe, they don't really, it's more of, you're limited to your imagination, which is why Kyle Rayner is such a good Green Lantern. But Hal Jordan, when it comes to base power, he's the only one that is himself part of the will. Not necessarily as in the Ion thing, well, they are the Green Lantern, but more of, they become part of the Green Lantern spectrum. So he will, and that Hal Jordan is on the strength, which actually is the most recent Hal Jordan, is where he forged his own Green Lantern ring, and it's a part of him. It's more, if you guys, a good reference from Marvel is Thor's hammer, where it is what kind of defines him, but it's not necessarily Thor's weapon, because he can go to other people, while Hal Jordan's ring is not like that. It's not just a regular Green Lantern ring. Like, his original one was Abin Sur's ring, and before that was someone else's ring, and before that was someone else's. It's not like that with Hal's ring. It is Hal's ring. And the only other person I think has used it is Kyle Rayner. And that was during the story arc that they specifically showed that Hal Jordan, I'm not really sure about other Green Lanterns. I would assume so, because it's all about will. So if you have the will to do something, you can do it. And Hal Jordan had the will to take on a Kryptonian known as General Zod, someone that goes toe-to-toe against Superman. So a Green Lantern doing any wing from the Green Lantern Corps, if they had enough time and will, I suppose. I'm not really sure. I would assume they'd have to do what Hal did and craft their own wing, but given enough will, any amount of will, you can bypass the strength of, I want to say, if not the strongest creature, one of the strongest creatures out there, which would be Kryptonians. But moving on to the Yellow Lantern, which, when it comes to the Yellow Lantern Corps, it's the Sinestro Corps. So I'm looking at Sinestro, of course, and I think it's pretty safe to say that the Sinestro Corps has some awesome members. Now, usually they're kind of one-off members, and when I say one-off members, I'm saying like Batman, who only put on a ring once, like just people who've worn the ring. It goes from Batman, the Cyber Superman, all the way to Superboy Prime, and the Ant Corps had some wild members, a part of the Corps. But when you look at Sinestro, you gotta look at the feats he's accomplished, and then you gotta look at what he can accomplish when he's max powered with the Sinestro Corps' creature, like the symbol, I suppose, of fuel is the creature known as Parallax, which I think when it comes to base strength, it's the strongest of all creatures, just because of how many times it's escaped captivity and has been, whenever it possesses someone, it's usually pretty big, compared to Hal Jordan, when he was possessed, he wiped out the entire Green Lantern Corps. Now, just looking at Sinestro, we can see a few of his feats will just going toe to toe. This one's one of the most recent ones, but just going toe to toe with a parallax infused Superman. So he's not only the Sinestro Corps, their wings not only can go up to toe to toe with Kryptonian, which most Green Lanterns couldn't, like, besides the most powerful of them. But not only can they do that, they also can penetrate. I don't really want to say they took down Mongul, which is a Superman villain, but the wings are the constructs are strong enough to go through them. But it was more Mongul doomed himself. He put on the wing, joined the corps, and thought he could take over the Corps, but he could not. He could not. Though, when it comes to Sinestro max power with the parallax, which increased Superman's strength, which I don't think he needed the parallax to do, but he one-shotted, powering the Earth 3 Green Lantern counterpart, which ended up giving birth to Jessica Cruz, a fan favorite among the Green Lanterns, and not the current Green Lantern. At least I don't think she has a book right now, but I know for a while it was when we both first started, it was Hal Jordan, and then it was Green Lantern. Now, I forgot to mention, but the Green Lanterns and Yellow Lanterns can both use constructs and stuff like that. Now, a lot of the Corps really can't, honestly. A bit more than I thought. Like, a good example is the Blue Lanterns. I did not know they were extremely useless by themselves, and they could not create it. I know they were a powerful Corps. It's just one of those things where they're not very useful by themselves. But moving on, if we're going to talk about Sinestro, we gotta talk about the greatest form of Sinestro, the White Lantern, the first White Lantern Sinestro. I believe he was the first White Lantern, because that was the introduction to the White Lanterns. Was the White Lantern Sinestro, which actually came back in a Blackest Night book. Not the Blackest Night book, it was Dark Multiverse Blackest Night. Now, I'm gonna really quick just rush through this one, just because we have a lot to talk about. The White Lanterns have a lot of abilities. They are, every emotion combined, they equal life itself, which is just the reverse for black, but we'll get to the Black Lanterns for later. But the White Lanterns can use constructions, and they have more abilities than they can. And they can actually bring the dead, sorry, not bed. It'd be cool if they could bring beds to life, but they can bring the dead back to life, which is pretty useful power. The only problem with this, which is a good countermeasure, which kind of evens the playing field a bit more, is when it's how should I put this? When you wear the wing, you don't necessarily get to control it. It's more like you have to do the will of the wing, which is why when Brightest Day came out and they were doing like pretty much the epilogue to everything, the White Lantern was choosing who to kill, who to keep. That said, though, this is away from that, but this is actually one of my favorite Batman stories of all time, is Batman Universe, which, comics being the way they are now, you can, like, get comics online and stuff, which is what I normally do, unless I'm excited for something like Three Jokers, where I order online or something. But Batman Universe is one of the comics who I specifically own in person, because I just generally love the story, and I was like, that would make a fine addition to my collection. Which now, it's reminded me of General Grievous, so we're moving on to Star Wars. But, anyways, that Batman Universe was a great thing, but moving away from that itself, in the story, it's about a White Lantern Wing prototype, which existed before the White Lantern Wing. So it's one of those things where, in canon, it existed before. It came out way, way after Blackest Night. Like, I believe Blackest Night was before Flashpoint, if I'm not really sure, though, because I believe Flashpoint led in the New 52. So I believe it was before Flashpoint, and this was way after Flashpoint, so it was way after, but they revealed the prototype of the White Lantern Wing, which doesn't really seem to have any of the things that make the White Lantern Wing special. But when we talk about White Lantern Wings, the Ring of Life, we also have to talk about the Ring of Death. Now, the Ring of Death, the Black Lanterns, have the ability to rise. They can That's the catchphrase. Is they just say rise and the dead come back and have a Black Lantern ring. But the difference between the White Lantern ring and the Black Lantern ring is, well, not if you're wearing the White Lantern ring, because it controls you to a certain degree. But the Black Lantern ring also does the same thing. You don't have free will, which is, it's actually really questionable, because currently, well, let me give you a little backstory before I do that. The leaders, the creature of the Black Lanterns, it's not a creature, it's a person named Nekron. And he pretty much is the Grim Reaper, except for the Grim Reaper is deaf, and that's a totally different person. So it's weird. I'm not really sure where the Black Lanterns fit in, but pretty much Nekron is leader, and he has a messenger, which is Black Hand, who we'll get into later. But the Black Lanterns can pretty much do everything the White Lanterns can, except for when they rise, you can control them if you're the leader. Which the reason why I say leader is because it seems like if Nekron's gone, you can just do whatever you want with it. Because currently, in death metal canon, this is canon. This is because there's a lot of multiverse stuff going on in death metal. The canon Batman is rocking the Black Lantern ring, which is awesome, and I love it. And they brought back part of the reason why I like Batman Universe is they got everyone. They got Jonah Hex. They got Green Lantern Hal Jordan. I love it. That said though, Hal Jordan isn't in death metal. At least I haven't seen him. Well, I saw him in that Lantern thing, but with Owlman. But that's okay. But actually, no, that was John Stewart. Never mind. But anyways, they brought back Jonah Hex, which is a pretty cool addition. Now, this is a little bit of side tangent, but real quick, if you have the ability of the Black Lantern, you can bring back anyone. It was really cool, like him going around, because he goes around the grave and he's like mocking anyone that's useful, for telling them like, alright, you're gonna come back when I want you, and you're gonna do stuff. It's like, just this side tangent real quick, like, if you have the ability to bring anyone back from the dead, what is stopping you from doing anything? And, which actually goes into the topic that we're talking about today. The Black Lantern Corps, I believe, is the biggest the biggest Lantern Corps that there is. Besides maybe Ultraviolet Corps, which I'll be getting into, like, pretty much the ending of this video, because it's one of those things where it's only around for, like, 5, maybe 6 issues. But, it's a cool concept, so we're gonna go ahead and move on with what happened to Black Hand. Now, Black Hand was the messenger for Nekron. He was the messenger of death. But when the Black Lanterns were defeated, he became the prisoner of the Indigo tribe, which they are not a corps. They are pretty much jailers. They are wardens. And Indigo 1, which I do not know if this is still accurate, but if my knowledge of Lego Batman 3 has taught me anything, I believe Abin Sur was the founder of it, but I have no idea if that's true. I don't know if Indigo 1 was or not, which, fun fact, Black Hand and Indigo 1 comes out this month, November, which is tomorrow, but depends on when you're watching it, but November 2020, Indigo and Black Hand for DC Legends, the mobile app, which I personally play. But Indigos are the tribe. They are the tribe that jails anyone that does not have compassion, which Sinestro, I believe, also for a little while becomes one, but pretty much if they put a ring on you and you do not have compassion, you just become chained up. You are now their prisoner. For, in Black Hand's case, the end of the continuity, because I have no idea what happened to him. I believe in Flashpoint none of this really happened, but I'm not really sure. I don't think it did though, so I guess somewhere he's still just sitting there, just locked up. But moving on, the Indigos, Indigo 1 specifically is not who I'm going to be talking about, because Indigo 1 honestly was being really vague when I reread this, and I did not really know what she could do. But they don't have rings, real quick, they have staffs. And John Stewart's staff is a gun, so that's always pretty nice. But John Stewart is who I'm going to be talking about. I know, he is the Green Lantern, and I'm going to be talking about him becoming Soft Sapphire later, so be prepared for that. But, well, actually, I think that was a really small thing, but moving on, we're going to have to look at when he is the Indigo, it seems like the Indigo Lanterns can pretty much just access any ability except the white and black and ultraviolet and phantom. Phantom are basically indigos if they did not have control, but that's for later. But pretty much you can use every ability except for the ability of life and death. But moving on, we're actually going to be moving on to one of my favorite colors, the Orange Lantern color. Now, the Orange Lanterns actually only consists of one member, who has the ability to pretty much steal the soul of others. So if you join the call and he decides to kill you, because pretty much the way it works is you get extremely greedy. So there's just not going to be more than one person, because one person can have the power battery. And that, since there's only one member of the call, that member is going to be extremely overpowered. He's more powerful than the Guardians, and he's not a Guardian himself. He's just the Lantern. Like, just, he is a foot soldier. Dang, English is hard, man. But moving on, he's just a foot soldier. Though, his creature is a snake. And honestly, I don't think his creature ever showed back up. Honestly, I can't really remember if anything really happened with his creature, because, again, besides Parallax, a lot of the other, the Green Lantern's creature, Ion, shows up a lot, but a lot of the creatures just kind of chillax, besides the Red Lanterns. And Star Sapphire is a creature that's semi-active, I guess. I don't really know much about that, but I do know that the Orange Lantern creature does not do much, but that just increases Lawfleece's power. So I'm going to be looking at Lawfleece specifically because himself is pretty overpowered, honestly. If he kills you, you join the call, and he does control you when you're part of the call. Pretty much, if he kills you, even if you don't have a ring on, even if you're not part of his call before he killed you, you join his call. Your spirit pretty much becomes part of the call, and you don't really lose free will, per se. It's more like you can do things in your own way, but you get what he told you to do done. So that's probably the easiest way. Another way of saying it is pretty much, he tells you to grab a sandwich, you were a gymnast, or something, I don't know. You do a flip. That's your thing. He tells you to get your sandwich, you do a flip, you flip back to him with his sandwich. Did your job. You can do it your way. You got the job done. But since he's the only member of the Corps, he is extremely powerful, and I really enjoy that. And he has his creature in his Corps, which he's always carrying. So he's always at max percent and overcharging even. So if he's like he's powerful, then he just has to stick his hand inside the Corps, and he got the power of giant snake, I guess. That's something. Not really sure what to say about that, honestly. There's not much to go about him and Indigo. Less on Indigo. There's not much going on with them. So when they do show up, you kind of have to just be like, oh, that's really cool. Now he actually had his own thing. It was called Agent Orange, which is a lot when I say his power comes from. But the Indigo, nada. They don't have very much on them. But moving on with I think my favorite, but it used to be my favorite. I've been getting into weirdly enough, until I did that Lantern thing, and I kind of went, because I reread and I got caught up with the Rebirth, because I did not read Rebirth until I did that the Greatest Green Lantern video, which is actually my first video on this channel. But until I got caught up, Red Lanterns were my favorite, but then I got caught up and I was like, well, it's Hal Jordan, dude, pretty cool. I always liked Hal Jordan since Blackest Night, because that was my Green Lantern. But until then, I believe my favorite Lantern color was the Red Lanterns, which we'll talk about now. But moving on with the man himself, the numero uno, Red Lantern King, Atrocitus. Now, Atrocitus, after after New 52, I really enjoyed them until Guy Gardner, which I like Guy Gardner, so I did like the story, but I liked Atrocitus a lot more than I like Guy Gardner, so hated it. But pretty much Atrocitus kind of got dethroned as Red Lantern King by Guy Gardner or Green Lantern. And I do like Guy Gardner, so I did like the story, but I liked Atrocitus more. So I really did not like that story. But actually, in Rebirth, they brought him back in Jessica's Green Lantern story. And it was the whole crew. We had Atrocitus, Blaze, I think her name is. I don't really remember. But I thought she betrayed Atrocitus, honestly. Like, I was pretty sure she was with Guy, but I don't know. And his cat, of course, Atrocitus' cat, Dexter, which yeah, I need an origin story. I think they already have one, but I should probably find out about that. But now we're moving into Lantern Corps that cannot do constructions, so they're not able to make giant hammers or anything. At least, I don't think they can. I think, well, actually, I think they can make pretty basic structures. Let me see real quick. Oh yeah, got scared there. I had to double check my information, but yeah, Red Lanterns can create constructs, though those constructs are usually pretty basic because the color is red, which is rage, so they're usually enthralled in rage to do it. So they can create constructs, though the only one that I can see really creating anything of use would be Atrocitus himself, because maybe Blaze or Bleeze. I don't know. I know how it's spelled. I'm just not sure how to pronounce it. I don't remember. But yeah, I'm pretty sure she betrayed. But they probably reset it after New 52 because it was just one of those things where they were trying to wrap up what happened with everyone. Pretty much, because like the Red Lanterns just sort of existed. And they kind of did that until Jessica Cruz's Green Lantern book showed up, which it is Simon's as well. I just don't ever. Jessica Cruz just kind of, in my opinion, outshines them, so I call it the Jessica Cruz book. Kind of like I say, well, actually, no, Hal Jordan is a terrible example. The book is called Hal Jordan, but the book also shows other Lanterns, like Kyle Rayner, when he stopped being a White Lantern. Well, he's supposed to stop, but he joined Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps. And so did John Stewart, because John Stewart doesn't have his own book. And Guy Gardner as well. Though, I feel like they do well sharing the spotlight with John Stewart. Not really, like I said before in the Greatest Green Lantern video. Guy Gardner was always just sort of there until the Red Lantern story. I do like Guy Gardner because I loved the Brave and the Bold Batman series. Is my favorite Batman series I can think of. I also like the Batman, so I pretty much liked all the Batman shows. I didn't dislike any of them, but I think Brave and the Bold was my favorite. And they used Guy Gardner, so I like Guy Gardner. Though I like Atrocitus more. But yeah, they share the spotlight, and I think they do it well with John Stewart. I think they equally share John Stewart and Hal. Not so much Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner, yes, they do share. I think they give more to Hal Jordan and John, and I think that it is a Hal Jordan book, but it is a Green Lantern book, because every other Green Lantern is in Hal Jordan's book, which I appreciate because I love Hal Jordan, but if you're gonna force every Green Lantern besides two to be in that book, you might want to share some spotlight. But moving on, we have the Blue Lanterns, the Lanterns of Hope, which I did not mention earlier. But the Red Lanterns also have this fiery ability where they literally spew up fire, burning lanterns, and that has no effect on the Hope Lanterns, the Blue Lanterns. The Blue Lantern Corps is the natural enemy of the Red Lanterns. In fact, their wings just straight up take over, because I also did not mention, but I should have. A Red Lantern wing does not, you cannot take it off. It does not come off easily, and you will die if you take it off. But the Green Lanterns, I don't remember if it was Simon. I'm assuming it's Jessica, which I know that's some shade towards Simon in the Green Lantern Rebirth, but I'm just assuming it's Jessica who can. They've shown that Green Lanterns, as well as Blue Lanterns, can pretty much overthrow the effects of the red ring. So, not so much the Blue Lanterns, but the Green Lanterns can pretty much use... I don't remember exactly what happened. I believe it was some effect they did, but they could take it off. A Blue Lantern, if they use their ability, they can pretty much cleanse you with their wing if they give you their wing, which is what happened with Hal Jordan when they were showing off the cores in Blackest Night. Which until recently, I had no idea that was the introduction, to all the cores. So I actually jumped on with all the cores, so that's pretty awesome. But yeah, they've shown that you can pretty much. Well, actually, you know what? I'm wrong. I'm wrong about that. The Green Lanterns before them, Mogo the Living Planet can also take off a Red Lantern's wing before. But Mogo and Jessica, I'm assuming, are the only ones that I believe have ever done it. So it is really up to imagination when it comes to any of this. When it comes to the will. So, will is more of a strength of mind. So that's why they're so effective. But, moving on. Blue Lanterns cannot really do anything. They are just power boosters. Now, when it comes to power itself, in a defense and offense set of terms, they are horrible. But when around a Green Lantern, because they were created by, I want to say Ganthet or something. I don't remember the names, but it was two Guardians, and they were created to assist the Green Lantern. So they are a power booster. They are, every single one of them is a pack of double A's. But when it comes to actual power, they're actually really high. But when they're around the Green Lanterns, they not only... Green Lanterns boost them, and they boost them, so... Which, a little tangent there. In Rebirth, Hal Jordan and everyone else, which I actually really liked with the Dark Stars, I believe. I got questionable real quick. But, them and Sinestro's daughter, or Green Lanterns and them, Sinestro's daughter was them, by the way, had an alliance and even built power batteries and lived on... I don't think it was Oa. It may have been, though, but they literally shared the planet, a planet, and they had two separate power batteries. Which, real quick, they teamed up after that for the Dark Stars, and that was actually an example I did not mention, but that was a great example of sharing a spotlight with Guy Gardner. Because Guy Gardner had a huge thing to play, and he's the kind of one who showed that, even after the alliance was broken, they could still work together. But I don't understand. I guess they'd just be too overpowered if the writers did this, but there was literally nothing from stopping Green Lanterns and Blue Lanterns from living together. And I don't understand why they wouldn't. Because they would make really awesome roommates, the Blue Lanterns, because they're always power getting boosted. Whenever a Green Lantern would go, send a Blue Lantern. And you'd win. You'd win pretty much every battle. But, moving on, because that's pretty much all the Blue Lanterns can pretty much do. They're just sort of anti-red, I guess. They also had a fight with the Orange Lanterns a while ago, but I assume Green Lanterns though, because they probably would have lost. But moving on with the Star Sapphires. Now, Star Sapphire. When it comes to them, the Star Sapphires is really questionable to me, because I'm going off a lot of different sources of information, and so their abilities may be incorrect. Well, they might have more, but I believe they can do constructs. And what happens is when the Star Sapphire first puts on the ring, it's I believe it's think of the one you love or something, and pretty much the one you miss, it's one or the other. And you pretty much become a Star Sapphire, which I'm talking about the Star Sapphire, Kara Danvers or Darius or whatever. I think it's Danvers, but John Stewart has his own Star Sapphire. I don't know her name though. And temporarily, it seems like it's a majority of women, the Star Sapphires, but it's not only women. Guy Gardner has also had it temporarily, and John Stewart. I want to say recently, because I have not seen it, so I'm assuming it's something that happened recently, but that's probably wrong. But John Stewart full on wore a ring and had it. But they also have So the Star Sapphires also have constructions, or constructs. I'm sorry, not constructions. They're called constructs, and also have crystallization. So it seems like they can put the level 1 in a crystal. At least that's the way I understand it, and they can just, I assume it's not only to the level 1, and they can also do it, but what's kind of interesting is that their creature is more of a construct that they all kind of made. At least that's the way I understand it. It was more of like, oh, well, all my love and pent up frustration became this beast called the Predator. Not the Predator, or would be dead. But I would like to interest. I would watch a Predator versus Green Lantern battle. Though Green Lanterns would win. Just going out there, but I'd watch it. But that's pretty much it for the main colors, the mainstay. Now we're getting into sort of not really the throw dolls. And the next one I'm about to talk about, which his name is Vathum, which if you're a long time Lantern fan, you probably already know this about him, but I'm going to move on to him. We have Vathum. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Now, Vathum or Volthum, whichever one, I think he uses the Phantom Wing, and he was actually the first Green Lantern, because it was sort of a retcon they did, but it's one of those things where it sort of is mix and match. He is actually Power Wing from all three. He is the soul of the wing, from which Jessica Cruz also uses until Rebirth. But Jessica Cruz got the wing from Power Wing, who died and was killed by Sinestro during Forever Evil in New 52. And the soul inside the wing, because that wing is not a Green Lantern wing. It is a not really an evil Green Lantern wing. It's more like you have to be in constant state of feel. I guess it was one of those things where it's more of an emotional state to get it, but they literally changed it where it means nothing. And yeah, now we're here. But Vathum showed up as the Phantom Ranger, which is what I call him. They do not call him the Phantom Ranger, but there's no one called the Phantom Ranger. At least I don't think there's anyone called the Phantom Ranger in DC. And if you're going to use the Phantom Wing, I'm not going to call you Vathum. I'm going to call you the Phantom Ranger because I think that's cool, in my opinion. But it's pretty much Indigo. If you wear the wing, you can do anything you want. You can use any ability you want, except for life and death. But yeah, they're just kind of the worst version because you can't control it. Because what happened was he was not time traveling. He was dimension traveling Vathum before he became the Phantom Ranger. He was time traveling. Dang it, dimension traveling. I'm sorry, but he was dimensionally traveling. Found the Guardians, which they retconned him into it because pretty much they kind of ditched the Manhunters, I guess. So it's one of those retcons that sort of like a lot that happened in New 52. It doesn't make sense. You can't keep some stuff and get rid of other stuff because I don't really understand what happened with the Manhunters, but because it couldn't have caused the origin of the Red Lanterns was Trossus formed a ring out of hate because the Guardians killed his homeworld via the Manhunters, but like it's a weird retcon because it only makes sense why they did the 5 armies and the robots, whatever they're called, Manhunters. But if they met Vathum so early, but Vathum found them and he can access any of the emotional state. He has the ability to himself tap into the emotional spectrum, and they used him as pretty much an experiment to get these wings to work. So they experimented, seeing all the different like lantern cores, and they tried them out, and eventually they put a wing inside of him, basically like a wing of the emotional spectrum wing, I guess, the Phantom Wing. I don't think it's called the Phantom Wing. I know this is kind of a tangent real quick, I'm sorry about this, but I don't think it's called that, because if it was, why does he have a Phantom Wing? I don't think he needs to use it though, but he himself can access it, but he becomes part of the emotional spectrum, and there's a wing they created that goes along with him called the Phantom Wing. And the Phantom Wing allows you to pretty much access any ability like the Indigo tribe, but if you do not have compassion, you don't get enslaved, because there's a dude that uses the Phantom Wing and uses compassion, which he pretty much talks himself down into taking the wing off because he realizes he's not worthy. Now, the Phantom Wing is one wing, so it's not really a core, but I am counting it because it uses all the core's abilities, but that's why it's so sought after, was because you can use any ability, you can use anything, any wing you want, but honestly, that's kind of absolute nonsense to me. I don't understand it, because in the past, you can use a lantern wing, like, nothing is stopping you from using a wing. You're not chosen, but you can use a wing, whether or not you like want it or not. Like, I don't get that, because you can use a wing without being chosen, which has been shown with Hal Jordan becoming a Yellow Lantern, or using a Yellow Lantern wing, and Mongo using Yellow Lantern wings. You can just put the wings on. Now, of course, you don't want to do that, because you can't fully use it like Batman in Forever Evil, which is the introduction, the Power Ring. He uses the Yellow Lantern Ring, cannot use it fully, but he could use it. But the only problem with that example is I guess he could have used it if he wanted to, so that could have been why he could use it. But like, I'm Hal Jordan using a Yellow Lantern Ring in can't remember what exactly story. Maybe Blackest Night? I don't know, but you don't have to be chosen to use wings. Maybe some wings, but Blue Lantern, great example. You can slide that wing right on. That's what they did with Hal Jordan to cleanse him of the rage. They slid that wing on and cleansed him. But that's pretty much it for the Phantom Wing. But Vthulin, like I was saying before, the Phantom Angel can just use the emotional spectrum, and that actually introduced a little travel lantern. It's not like a travel core, it's literally just a lantern that can travel. Which, if you're going to have a trans-dimensional device to travel, why choose a lantern? I don't know. I just think it's kind of lackluster. But it's a cool idea, though. It's a cool idea, and I mean, it's cool that you have to use a travel. With the lackluster, we have a really cool idea, which is a core that does not use an emotion spectrum. Like, it doesn't have a major emotion. It flies on guilt, and that's pretty much all I can tell, because it says guilt and mixed feelings. What is mixed feelings? I don't know. You're going to have to be very specific when it comes to lanterns. Everything has a feeling, and the only thing that's confirmed is guilt and mixed feelings. I don't know what that means, so I'm just not going to say it. But it's the ultraviolet core. Really cool idea. Existed for a Justice League story. Now, the same thing with the Flash thing, but the Flash, which, hold on, I need some backstory. They were fighting Legion of Doom, Justice League, and it was currently John Stewart. And what happened was everyone got an ability. Pretty much everyone got an ability to fight them. Sinestro decided to give up a yellow wing to pick up a core he himself discovered many years ago, which was actually a pretty cool thing, but he was like, oh, this is too powerful. But in my opinion, I don't understand why you'd give up your Yellow Lantern. Your Yellow Lantern wing you can take John Stewart with your wing. You don't need the downgrade. Like, I don't get what he was thinking, but everyone got a new ability. But the Flash, his villain was Gorilla Grodd, and his ability was actually fleshed out. They did like the Strength Force, the Still Force, and they were doing a Still Force against the Flash, and they're using the Ultraviolet core against John Stewart. Now, the difference was John Stewart thing, they did not flush out. They only explained that, oh, Sinestro discovered this before he turned evil, so he held it up. But, like, then discovered the Yellow Lantern thing, he became a Sinestro core, so he came back, and now he's ready to fight John Stewart. Now, besides, the only cool thing that I enjoy about this is, it actually, besides the Black Lanterns or the White Lanterns, because technically everyone that was a Black Lantern became a White Lantern, I believe, and at the end of Blackest Night, but I'm not really sure about that. Though, to come back to life, like everyone did. I would assume they had to become White Lanterns because everyone else did at the end. They kill Necron or defeat Necron. But moving on, Ultraviolet Coral is I'm going to take a liberty and say the biggest coral that is around because it uses guilt, and once you get the ring, you don't necessarily lose free will like they say. It's one of those things where like Sinestro technically he did not lose himself because of a costume he was wearing. He created like a costume, I guess. At least that's what they said, I believe. I read this one online. It was a while ago because I got caught up for this video. I was getting prepared like a week ago, and I specifically went out like last Sunday. Like I actually know the date, not the day, last Sunday, and I read the Ultraviolet thing. So I believe it was just his costume helped him create the ring. Now it's not really a ring. It's more like a symbol that appears like a ring on your ring finger once you've been chosen, once you've been selected. So Sinestro gained the ability from the Justice League event, and it's just one of those things where like it existed and it was cool, but I cannot believe that they didn't keep this. I don't understand why they made this thing not as impactful because they got defeated pretty easily after pretty quick too. I'd say, but I'd say it's biggest call because it applies on guilt and you just get selected. So people from even Earth will just flying up part of the core. Now it doesn't take away your free will. It can, and it did for John Stewart. But like, it's more like if you, I guess, have the will, not necessarily enough will to become a Green Lantern, but just enough will because it overpowered will because it initially overpowers the will. But if you have enough will, you become a Green Lantern. So. How John Stewart for a little while was not a Green Lantern, so I guess a little bit of will is all it takes to overpower it, because it does not take away your free will, but it does not create constructs per se. It's more like it creates monsters, so pretty much your feelings, but it creates monstrous constructs, I guess. Not really sure the best way to describe it. It's just something that was a cool concept, and it does not exist. So I saw this comment online when I was reading through like forums and stuff, and they should do a depression Lantern next. If we're getting into like feelings like guilt and stuff, we need Depression Lantern. Make it just as quick though, like it's maybe a bipolar Lantern. That'd be cool. Well, actually, I think the Phantom Ranger is a bipolar Lantern because he's literally like every pan. But moving on, there was only one ring to rule them all. Now, if you would like, please comment and let me know which ring should rule them all. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you if you stuck around for 40 something minutes. This was a longer video than I expected, probably the longest video I'm ever going to post, just because there was a lot of information, a lot of tangents going on. But moving on, I have one more topic for next week, because I noticed I accidentally do this. Like, I don't for sure go out of my way to say this, but every video I let you know on what topic I was working on next, so got you guys. If there is an Injustice 3, ideas for Injustice 3, or maybe a Gotham Knights. I'm thinking Injustice 3 just because my only idea for Gotham Knights is maybe KG Beast, Deathstroke, or Azrael. I just think Nightfall Azrael would work so well, and he's been in pretty much every Batman Arkham game, so it'd work really well if Azrael pretending to be Batman showed up. I think that'd be cool. But anyways, please let me know if you'd like to what Lantern Ring should rule them all. And yeah, see you guys next time.